In the recent 2 years in particular, the Polish population has grown and grown, and it seems to be, growing.
It was rather a surprise coming back in September of 2005 and finding that in the space of 7 or 8 weeks we'd gone from 5 or 6 Polish members of the community up into the 60s.
It does pose challenges, there's no doubt about it. Benefits, but challenges as well.
Since EU expansion, the debate on immigration has become more polarised. Much is made of its negative impact. However, at 4 UK schools, the new Polish arrivals have been a welcome addition. Slough is the most ethnically diverse place outside London. 1 in 4 new arrivals are Polish. Sarah Selleck manages Connect, an inclusion unit at Beechwood Secondary School. Together with those students who have been excluded, Sarah oversees newly arrived pupils in the unit. There are more Polish students than any other nationality.
This inclusion unit is unique. It really on paper shouldn't work, but it does, because we have a whole range of students, from those students who are highly academic, who are have high aspirations to succeed, with students who have been excluded or who frankly aren't interested in education at all. And the mix works. Okay, you have to write it in there afterwards, do you? Okay, your writing is getting much better. It's good. It's learning on the job. I've got no qualifications for it, other than the fact I am a teacher and I've got empathy with them, I think. But actually, they are just another group that have a need that we need to work for. So we're very much into personalised learning here.
A circuit contains a power supply. What's the power supply? Yes. Yeah, what do we call it? Do you remember? We call it a... Battery. Good boy, well done. OK.
You will have to go back, take the words home and learn them, so that when you have this exam paper, you can pick the words out and they will mean something to you.
Hi, my name is Mateusz. I'm 16. I'm from Zielona Góra in Poland. In this school, I'm from 4 weeks. For us, learning English, it's hard every day, because every day we are learning new words, and it's too much. At first week it was too much for us, but now our English is better, and we can see that every day when we are talking with English people at school.
Okay. We will only put them into lessons as and when we're ready and confident that they are able to cope with that lesson. So at the moment they're not going into mainstream English, because mainstream English for these students would be virtually impossible for them to access any additional language. So we need to get their language skills up to speed before we can put them in. This is a really good game. They're really enjoying playing it, and they can speak in English and they're having fun. Just practice the words, the numbers. So what are those words? Back the other way?
Reverse.
Reverse, yeah. Miss a go. Right, if we've got pens, pencils, rulers, come on, let's go.
Beechwood School has a new assessment centre on its grounds. Here, all new students to Slough are assessed by the LEA. It also means that all those pupils who are placed at Beechwood can be continually monitored. Before the assessment centre existed, it was difficult, without any previous record of academic ability, to know where each pupil would be best placed.
What it means for a young person who's arriving to Slough is that they're invited here for 4 mornings in 1 week, given a little bit of an induction about secondary education in Slough, and an assessment is able to be made of them, and a little bit of social context. It goes back to the table with a little bit more information around them, and we find that it speeds the process of them gaining school places.
Who is a consumer?
The assessment centre is managed by Mrs Tice, who's actually doing some work with these 2 students here. Because the words are so technical for science, we need to be able to enlist our support from Mrs Tice, who is Polish.
When you've got a food chain, yeah, it always starts from the plant, Ślina, okay? front.
By inducting them into the school via Connect, we are able to constantly monitor how they're getting on in the classroom, are they happy, and we believe we see very confident young people very quickly.
Wherever you go in education, you meet people who are incredibly positive, optimistic and creative, and that's certainly how I would categorise us here. But in terms of managing the resources, it becomes very difficult, and there will be a lot of schools like us who have numbers coming in and numbers going and moving off elsewhere. That's expensive, and the funding actually trails behind. So we're currently funding young people in school, significant numbers who have no funding attached to them until next April. That's quite hard on a school.
These Polish children have to learn to speak the language and get the GCSE results, and they have got high aspirations, the majority of these Polish students. They want to go on universities, somewhere they're aiming for, and I see it as my job, with the rest of the staff that work with me, to get them the very best GCSEs, because without those GCSEs they can't move on.
On the other side of Slough is St Joseph's Secondary School. There are 70 Polish students at St Joseph's. 13 of them will be taking their GCSEs this year.
Hello, my name is Marta. I come from Poland, from the central part of Poland, from the town that is called Piotrków Trybunalski.
Hello, my name is Evelina, I'm 15. I came to England 2 years ago.
Hello, my name is Peter. I came to England 1.5 years ago.
They arrived at different times. Marta, very quiet at first, but she has this very friendly nature, so she made friends very quickly. Evelina's rather quiet, took her time adapting, and I think, if I'm right in saying, she had a few problems settling into school because she missed Poland enormously, and they were eased by the help of the school counsellor. Peter, on the other hand, he is just such a confident child. He's just so good at everything, and he's good looking. His level of English has improved. He's gone from strength to strength.
Showing just 4 of them. I'm getting really good help from my teacher. He's a really good teacher. And from Antoś, who is helping me a lot. Antoś is a Polish person who was born in England.
When a lot of the Polish people started coming at first, I was getting asked loads of questions. Some of it I was finding hard as well, but now it's slightly less. If there was no one to help them translate, they would have found it much harder. Whereas if I was here, some of the more complicated stuff I could help them with.
Jak to jest? It's more Polish people will be there. Że więcej Polaków i tak będzie. Therefore. To jest dobre słowo? It's very good benefit to have Antoś. He helped me a lot, really.
Although we've enriched their curriculum with as much support as possible, encouraged them to take the right sort of revision classes, it will still be difficult for them to sit their GCSEs.
I hope to get B, but I will get D anyway.
Why do you think you'll get D?
Because of language barrier.
The beginning was very hard for me because my English was very, very bad, and I had English lesson in Poland, but it wasn't enough to speak in here.
I didn't know who to talk with. I just felt so different, so lost. Music was the only subject that we didn't have to know English for. That was the lesson that really, I think, kept us going.
There was this beautiful music playing all the way through the school building, and people coming down to see who was playing. You remember that?
Yes.
They were good times. And people, because you were playing music, suddenly saw 2 very able people.
Yeah. I remember the teachers, they were really surprised and proud of us that we can play so well.
From our point of view, to suddenly hear this beautiful piano playing, it was just inspiring, wasn't it? It really was. It just gave an extra dimension to school life. because they had this innate ability to learn, the consensus was that they would be better off going straight into Key Stage 4 work and learning on the hoof.
OK, let's move on to Levi's then. What do we expect to find in the Levi's television ad?
Progress comes from the people themselves, willing to put in the time and obviously support at home, and it comes from good teaching, having a dynamic lesson, and when it comes to actually assessing and marking, that marking is very diagnostic and shows what needs to be done to improve.
I think by applying the pressure of wanting to enter them and giving them the carrot of saying, well, there is the possibility to do the exam, I think it's been quite a motivation.
Hello, miss.
Hello, girls. OK, did you have a good day?
Yeah. Miss, would you help me with my coursework?
Of course I will. What subject? Business.
All the schools in Slough benefit from being able to draw on the large Polish community. At St Joseph's, they have 2 bilingual members of staff.
My parents were both Polish, from Poland, and my husband's parents are Polish, so we keep up the Polish traditions and we speak Polish to parents and grandparents.
OK then.
This is Homework Club, which we open every lunchtime, and it enables children to use our facilities, our books, and get help from staff as well.
I was missing Poland a lot. I was settled down as well, but between being settled and missing Poland, there was it was just coming one on each other, and I couldn't find myself in it. So it was really hard. Miss Cross is a really lovely person, and every time we had any troubles, any questions about school, lessons and everything, we was going to her and she was like explaining to us everything. I'm trying to do my work as much as I can, as good as I can. Well, I think this year I really start working hard on my courseworks, revising and everything, and I hope I'm going to get good grades.
At St Joseph's, adapting the GCSE curriculum to suit the needs of the Key Stage 4 students has proved to be a good way of giving the Polish students the best chance of succeeding. The large numbers of families arriving in Slough has given Maggie Stacey, the head of St Anthony's Primary School, the scope to make some changes.
Literally the September I arrived, there was a major influx. We took in almost 50 Polish students through the school and possibly 10 or 15 into reception class. And since then we've had a steady increase in numbers. We're now up to 389 pupils, of which 139 are Polish.
The increasing numbers has had some unexpected benefits.
The school had a falling roll. The increased numbers of pupils arriving has meant that we're able to upgrade the fabric of the building. We've been able to purchase equipment, and we've been able to recruit more staff. So in terms of finance, the influx has been extremely welcome.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
At the moment, we've got all our years 3, 4, 5 and 6 doing a lesson in English, building up their vocabulary. They're all the new children from this year. This is the first time we brought them all together as a group. Previously, when we'd had new children, we tended to teach them within their class ages. But we thought that this year, as we knew that we were getting at least 19 to 20, that it would be a good opportunity to put them together in what we're calling an immersion group.
I want you now to think of the place that you live in, and I want you to think about some of the things that we would find inside a house. Rooms. Do you know what rooms are? Pokoje.
For Maggie, the immersion classes have had some really positive effects across the school.
They allow these children to really have targeted work and targeted support, so they feel their learning is coming forward, and it really supports the teachers in the classroom, in the mainstream, for whom it's extremely difficult to not only differentiate the work for children who are of different abilities, but also to children who have significant language difficulties. So it really gives them that extra moral support as well.
Maggie now employs 7 members of staff who speak Polish.
So that's the class that's got a Polish teacher assistant. She's been very instrumental in enabling the children to access the curriculum, because we suddenly found, and I mean suddenly found, that we had 16 new arrivals into Year 1. None of those new arrivals had had any early years experience, any early preschooling. So we were very, very quickly trying to establish somebody who had nursery experience. Miss Michelle is invaluable. She's been here a long time. She takes small groups in the morning. Lunchtime, she's there to support the children at lunch. They come and find you, don't they, Miss Michelle, every hour of the day.
They can home in on me, and sort of any complications, any problems, they know that they can go to someone who can help them. I can try to sort their problems out. And I think they sort of home in on me like a lifeline, I suppose.
He's a lot of Polish staff. This is helpful for parents, so we are really happy about this. After 6 months, she started to speak English. Good, very good. Now she speaks better than me and my husband.
What happens with the greater number of Polish children we've had is that obviously they will group together because they have a common language, they have common games. Having said that, by introducing things like jump rope and skipping games and basketball games, we have encouraged much more cross-fertilisation.
My mum was thinking that I'm going to say I don't want to go to school, but actually I had a lot of English friends supporting, and when I came back, I said to my mum that I want to stay in school.
It was really hard because I didn't understand what they were saying and they didn't understand what I was saying, but we've got on really well together. So they've taught me how to speak a bit of Polish as well. Cześć, that means hello. Jak się masz, that means how are you. And do widzenia, that means goodbye.
A group of Year 1 pupils are going around the school, finding and photographing things that are 1 metre in length.
We found that it's a great way to include all children. Doesn't matter what nationality you are, doesn't matter what language you've got. A photograph tells 1,000 words. And we've actively looked at our curriculum and found different ways that we can include children. In Slough, there's always been a Polish population, a Polish group here since just after the war. And because of that, many of our staff are actually second generation, so are able to have dual language. Having a resource readily available has made a big difference.
It's not always possible to draw on a Polish community, though. In Worksop, it's only recently sprung up, so they've had to devise different ways of integrating their Polish pupils.
Bye. It was only supposed to be for a couple of days a week, but it turned into a full-time job. So I'm stuck with it now. I don't mind, though.
Alan volunteers at the local primary school.
It's difficult for a teacher to spend individual time with someone who can't speak the language. I suppose it was a good thing to stop with me for a week or two until they learned a few words of English. I usually stop and play this game before I go in bed.
Alan has been reading with the children since he retired.
Is this the right place? Asked Tom. There's no one here. You're right. For it.
Remember that one?
Oh.
No T on the end of it. You're right, though.
The however, was still empty.
Lucas came to our school last year without a word of English.
Yeah.
And you've just heard him now, haven't you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think his English is excellent. I think your comprehension's brilliant.
Isn't it?
Still got dictionary, that which you gave me for Christmas.
Yeah, I remember that, aye.
Yeah.
And then you taught me Polish?
Yeah.
Well, some.
But
had a test.
you used to give me a test. Send me home with it, didn't you?
In English,
And I
yeah,
used
and
to
you was
write it out
learning.
at night, homework.
Yeah.
But it was good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we get on now, don't we?
Yeah.
The Polish have come to Worksop because there's been a recruitment drive in Poland. There are several main employers in the Worksop area. We have a skills need. Apparently 1 in 5 of those Polish workers coming into the area are English speakers to some extent. So that means that 80% are non-English speakers. There's been a mixed view to the Polish issue in the area. Many of our parents have been extremely supportive. It's been seen as a very positive move for the school and the area.
There weren't any Polish-speaking members of staff at Ryton Park when the first Polish students started arriving, so the most pressing priority was to find a way of communicating with them.
It's obviously very difficult to communicate the tangible logistics of things, if nothing else, without somebody that actually knows the language.
Dzień dobry, Kali. Dzień dobry, Denim.
When I first started teaching last year, it was day 1 and we received what I thought would be our first Polish child, and there turned out to be 2 in my class. And it was quite a surprise. I didn't really know where to begin, and I was lost for a few days. There is this sort of sense of, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? How am I going to communicate with little Charlie down here? And that is a very challenging place to be. And I actually know of some teachers who found that stressful beyond belief. I've seen some teachers in tears over it. I had a look on websites, a very simple Google search for Polish interpreters, and that's how we came across Kate. And once we had her, it was then instantly possible to communicate with our Polish children and their families.
It's handy that Kate is around today, as a Polish boy has fallen over and cut his lip.
Hey, can you explain to him that will stop it hurting and take the swelling down?
Tak, to ci przestaniesz krwawić przez to. And he looked very upset and he wanted to go home because he didn't understand anybody around him. So I had to come out and explain to him that nothing was wrong. Yeah, he's feeling better now. So he's got ice cream.
Because Kate splits her time between 4 schools in the area, Brian has had to devise other ways of communicating with his pupils.
Okay, so children must wear uniform to school.
Dzieci muszą ubierać mundurek do szkoły.
Brian has developed some software that allows him to talk in Polish to his children without actually being able to speak Polish.
I found it quite helpful because I'm able to communicate very important things with my children, and the evidence is clear because they're following those instructions, they're doing it. But the biggest indicator is the smile on their face when they hear, I understand what's just been said. And to me, that's a huge measure of success.
Christian. Now, I don't speak Polish too well, so what I'm going to do is say, well done.
Dobrze zrobione.
Okay, you have worked hard.
Pracowałeś ciężko.
And
Twoja praca jest fantastyczna.
your work is fantastic.
Even simple strategies at Ryton Park have proved very effective at easing integration.
I've got Marlena, who sits over here, and Christian, who sits over here. To start with, they sat together, but that resulted in them speaking in Polish to each other. I've now got my Polish children learning English from the people they sit with, and my English people learning Polish from the Polish children who they sit next to. They are now having the opportunity to communicate with children who don't speak their language. For many children, that's a novel idea, that there are people who don't speak English. It helps them develop socially, it helps out in the playground because now they've got English friends to go out and play with.
I think Lucas is something for them to work towards. He encourages them, and you can remind the children that a year ago Lucas had no English, and he supports them and he speaks to them in English and Polish. And he's a good mentor to them. Yeah, a good friend.
Lucas and his friend Radek have integrated so well at Ryton Park that they've been appointed play leaders.
Are you good at helping people?
Yeah.
Is that why they picked you?
Yeah. So should we play like everybody against me, or do you want to pick teams? Do you want to be in there? Yeah. You're sure? Come on then. Wait, careful.
Polish immigration has been a real positive move for the school. I think that the students that we've gained have been an absolute credit and shown a real work ethic, and that's reflected in the progress that they've made in the short time that they've been here. They've become part of our school and added to the ethos of inclusivity within the school.
I think over the few months there has been a more settled outlook, whereas I think there were a few tensions about a year ago when nobody understood what was happening, including, I think, the government didn't quite know how many numbers were going in and coming out. So at school, all we can do is, the moment the child arrives, put in place support systems that make that particular child welcome and relax the other children, including the teachers, who had a bit of a shock.
When you're talking about 50, 60 students in the space of 2 or 3 months, that was the real challenge, just meeting that rapid response. I think, yes, we have learnt things, and I think that we would be able to develop strategies to meet that need.
Now, the fact that we've had so many Polish pupils and so many new arrivals gave me the opportunity, if you like, to really look at, with my leadership team and staff, what we were teaching, how we were teaching and why we were teaching. And with the staff working really hard, we have created what we think is a really good curriculum.
Talking over recent years, overall, new students to the school have helped us to pull our results up. The Polish youngsters in particular, some of them are our high flyers, so they have brought great additionality to the school and are good role models for other students.